today, and it's lovely. It's been raining for the past few days, so a nice break in the weather.
Lucky you. Here it's actually freezing cold and obviously pitch black, and yes, not so good. So one of those.
Oh, I suppose so. That's right.
Yeah. And then this week I've been in Stockholm. I've been in Sweden, which was very chilly but very beautiful as always. So that was rather good. But yes, and so obviously, so thank you very much for agreeing to talk with me.
My pleasure.
And so just if I could possibly, sort of 30 minutes would be absolutely ideal. And obviously,
okay.
I got your details from the wonderful Jen Urich, who I've known on and off for many years. I met her first back in the 90s when she was working in advertising and I was working in agencies in London. We worked together on a project a couple of years ago for the French fashion brand Comptoir de Cottoniere. And so then when I reached out to her on this one, she recommended yourself. So fantastic. Shall I just quickly explain what this is about, so you can really sort of hopefully understand what we're trying to do. We're working on a project for Coca-Cola looking at future innovative drinks, okay? The space that they are really interested in, or the spaces, are all around sort of mental agility or mental sort of, relaxation. And so what I'm doing at this stage is just having very quick conversations with interesting people in different countries and different cities. So I've spoken, so last night I was talking with someone in Sydney, and obviously in Australia, previous couple of days in New York, in Beijing and Shanghai. I'm talking to someone in Tokyo tomorrow. And so we're just having these conversations with, again, interesting people who have a view on this. We're not expecting them to be absolute, experts or scientists. It's just people who, if you like, exist in a space where the area of healthy living and healthy drinks, in this instance, do play a role.
Okay.
So it'd be great if perhaps if you just give me a couple of minutes first of all on yourself, just so again when we see Coke in January, we can explain who we saw and why we spoke to them. So perhaps a couple of minutes on who you are and what you do.
Okay, let's see. Well, I am an endurance sports and nutrition coach. That's my title. And primarily I provide athletes, beginners and novice and some elites with expert coaching, and I write training plans for them. I provide online coaching from sort of start to finish of different races. I also do individual nutrition coaching with athletes, as well as sort of regular people on a mission to either improve their health and nutrition or on weight loss missions. So I have clients that are both in the endurance sports atmosphere, and also people that aren't.
Yep.
So that's sort of my primary occupations. I'm also an athlete myself.
Yep.
So
I saw a couple of great photographs on the Steelhead coaching site of you charging around and covered in mud by a bike and. Yes.
My sort of preferred sports. I've been doing road triathlon for the last 5 years or so, but prior to that, mostly cyclocross and mountain biking. So what we call Xterra races, which you may have heard of. Essentially off-road triathlon. So same thing, swim, bike, run, but the biking is a mountain bike, cross-country type course, and the runs are trail runs. So I kind of like the more woodsy sports.
Yeah. Fantastic. It's like, I've been to Portland a couple of times with Wyden and Kennedy. And zooming around in the forest by Mount Hood and whatever, being out on a bike, and it was just an amazing place. I mean, absolutely extraordinary.
It is lovely. We've got, we've got the beach on one side, the mountains on the other, forest all around. So you can always sort of find some place to go away from the city, and
just absolutely incredible. So perhaps you could just tell me, just in terms of of this space around sort of drinks, and particularly drinks that impact on mental issues as opposed to purely physical. And obviously I'm naturally aware that a lot of what you're doing, the majority will be physically based. And we spoke with, again, an endurance athlete a couple of days ago in Boulder in Colorado. It's interesting, he was talking, a lot of what he was talking about was absolutely purely physical focused. And in his point of view seemed to be almost that athletes were utterly obsessed with their bodies, and that and the minds were something that was almost quite discounted. Would you agree with that? Is that where you're coming from, or not?
Oh, that's an interesting thing to think about. No, I'm going to have to right off the bat say no. I think that truly a huge amount of the success that you'll find as an athlete, particularly in the endurance sports field, has to do with your mental toughness. You could have a great training plan and be super physically fit and be thrown off course immediately if one thing goes wrong. So it doesn't matter how fit you are if you can't handle sort of the bumps along the way, being beaten or having a bad day. So training your sort of mental edge and the ability to suffer and recover, bounce back, I mean, that's a huge part of what I coach. So, I think the mind is, I'm going to try to give it a percentage point, but I can't. It's equally as important, I think, as the body.
Okay. And are there, obvious sort of killer question to jump straight in, are there specific drinks or ingredients that you're recommending, or what?
Well, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is caffeine. I do recommend that athletes, that can tolerate caffeine, use it appropriately. So I'll sometimes have them, maybe cut back a little bit the month or so before a race in order to really get the benefit of it during training and racing closer to their peak season. I also have them use it smartly during training. So however they're going to get that, either coffee, preferably coffee, as opposed to Red Bull or some other drink that has a lot more things in it that I either don't know about or, if I'm not very familiar with it, I won't recommend it, but I'll kind of let them choose what they like.
Yep.
Electrolyte drinks, Noon tablets, Gatorade type things. I mean, those are all things that play a role in nutrition coaching with athletes.
Yep. And can I ask, and how do they sit aside the other side, which is all about perhaps relaxation? So how do they bump up against each other?
Meaning, how do athletes...
Yeah, just wanted to
explain that one a little more.
Yeah, so perhaps just how you're encouraging them, or if you do, to balance, the vitality side with the relaxation and recovery or preparation side. And I know you mentioned you're talking about using caffeine sort of smartly. I wonder perhaps what that actually means.
Okay, well, so on a daily basis, I might recommend that an athlete, instead of having caffeine, say they're training at 6 a.m. So instead of having caffeine before a 6 a.m. workout, let their body naturally wake up, let sort of cortisol levels rise, come to their morning workout at 6 a.m. uncaffeinated, let their heart rate do what it does so that I can actually see, how they're responding to their training without the effects of caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they want to have caffeine after that, I feel like sort of later on in the day, at 8 o'clock or following their workout, that's a great time to get that mental boost. So use it then sort of as a mental, focus for the rest of the day, but not a training tool. And then, usually it's sort of say, okay, have your second cup, if you do have a second cup, before 2 p.m. so that you're not up all evening.
Yep.
But to get you through that midday slump.
Mm-hmm.
Those are usually my caffeine recommendations. And then I do sort of suggest, that if you're able to wean yourself back off of it a little bit, maybe a month or so, 6 weeks before a big race,